Yo, what is going on, guys? We're back today for another video, but not just any video. We have the most highly anticipated series on my channel every month, the tier list update. So we got a lot in store for this month's tier list. We got the brand new champions, Jack-O-Lantern, Scream. We got 3 of the newly buffed champions, Medusa, Purgatory, Black Panther, Civil War. We'll be placing those champions live with you guys in the recording today. But before we get into all that goodness, we have the standard disclaimers to go through. So just want to remind you guys that, this tier list is not supposed to be the MCOC Bible or anything like that. This is just my opinion. Plus, with your guys' help via the comments, I read every single comment on the past tier lists before making the next one. You can see here I read through all of these, responded to a lot, interacted with a lot of you guys, and yeah, this was almost 300 comments, I think. Let's see here, 293, and let's see, I left some comments, so if we refresh it, does it update? Yeah, now it's 324. I left a few comments, so yeah, it's just a lot of comments, but I go through them. They're all very important into making, the next iteration of the tier list. Also, we have some emojis to go through here. We're going to go through them at the start of today's video. So the little flexing icon means they want to be awakened. The shield means they have high defensive prowess. The more shields, the better defender they are. This little graph going up just means they want more SIGs. This little ninja cat here means it takes some skill to play these champions. There's not a champion that you can just pick up and immediately be playing to the top level. And then we have the little stone face. That means powerful relic. That really adds something, and pretty much every new champion has a good relic that interacts with them. And then here the skull is the suicides, recoils, whatever you want to call them, ouchies. Means that champion is very good with those masteries. And we also have the little recycling icon here, means they've been reworked, buffed, rebalanced. Here we have the up arrow means a promotion, the down arrow a demotion, and the new just means a new entry on the list. So that is it for the November Legacies Mythic Monthly tier list from all kinds of champions. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and get started with the brand new champions. So let's go ahead and start with Scream. So Scream is landing in the S tier solidly. She feels like an incredible champion. I'm going to pull her up on Khonshu here. She's awesome. First of all, actually, I should pull her up in game because that is what really can do her justice. Because, man, this is one of the best looking champions in the game. And, I'm not kidding. I genuinely mean that. Take a look. Like, she just looks so incredible in game. I'm obsessed. We did a testing stream for both the new champions, Jack and Scream. So which was a ton of fun, by the way. Really good time testing that live with you guys. Really great time. And Scream, I was a little bit worried when I got into testing her because she looks so good in game, but I was worried that she wasn't going to be nearly as good as she looks. But I was pleasantly surprised. She was, first of all, just so much fun to play. It felt really nice. Like the animations, everything just flowed together pretty well. It felt pretty easy to play as well. It didn't really take much to learn how to play her, not fully optimally, but pretty well. And what I like about her is, her main debuffs that she applies, bleed and armor break, and then you build up to the special 2 to cash in on all your damage, depending on the debuffs. And it's a really fun rotation. It's a really rewarding rotation. It's a lot of damage. It's awesome. A lot of buffs. Some nice safety mechanics with her auto block. But the thing that is troublesome typically when you have a damage over time effect that you rely on is, well, what if your opponent is immune to that? And Scream is really reminiscent of Magneto for me. I remember making this exact comparison, when I was doing the testing stream, because with Magneto, if your opponent is metal and, you build your special 3, you have like 40 prowess, you're going to apply like 40 bleeds, which do a ton of damage. But when you're up against a bleed immune, you don't get that bleed damage. What Magneto does is, for all those bleeds that he would apply, instead he applies armor breaks, and it just does like a absurd amount of damage. Like a Magneto special 3 with 40 prowess against a non-bleed immune, could be dealing like 200,000 damage. Against a bleed immune, it could be dealing like 500,000. you know, because you don't get the bleed damage. So instead you just get the armor breaks, and the special damage is crazy. And so Scream kind of does something similar. When they're immune to those bleeds, instead, you know, she doubles the armor break. She usually applies a bleed and an armor break. So if they're bleed immune, it's 2 armor breaks. So those armor breaks really stack up, and all of a sudden her basic combos are starting to just hit insanely hard, and it's awesome, dude. It's really fun. So yeah, I think, you know, Scream is landing really solidly in this S tier. I would say she's got the shield icon. I think she does have some defensive prowess. I don't know how much. You know, she's brand new. Being brand new also helps you on defense. But, you know, I definitely don't think she's crazy level defender. She's in this tier because of her offensive capability with, you know, some nice defensive touches with the auto block and everything. Yeah, the relic, I would definitely be giving her the Venom relic. That's going to be the maximum benefit there. I would say she wants to be awakened, and she does want SIGs, but I feel like just being awakened, you know, is good for her, because just being awakened, you know, SIG 1, she's getting basically half of these values. So these are SIG 200 values, you know, 25%, 25%, 25%. At just SIG level 1, she's getting half of that, you know, at 12.5% here. So, you know, the more SIGs is great for her, don't get me wrong, but just being awakened, I think, is pretty important. Just having access to all of these just gives her more beneficial effects against certain tag champions. We have Spider-Verse heroes, which definitely makes sense for, you know, a symbiote champion, and then against symbiotes, and then against when you have class advantage against tech champions. And this one is really interesting because each stack of madness reduces the opponent's armor up ability accuracy. So this could be pretty good against champs that gain a lot of armors, you know, like Red Skull, Future Ant-Man, those types of annoying defenders. And then, you know, we also have when madness is consumed by Scream, you gain regeneration, or a chance to gain a regeneration. So the higher the SIG, the higher the chance. Even at SIG 200, it's not guaranteed. It's a max of about a 75% chance. So yeah, just the more SIGs, the better. But that's why she has both icons here. Typically, I don't think any other champion list has both, but that's why I just wanted to explain it. And yeah, that's all of her icons explained. So yeah, I think Scream is awesome. She's going to be in the next Titan batch, which I am currently saving for. So yeah, dude, I'm really want to get her. Would insta rank to her, maybe rank 3. I don't know yet, but I'm very hopeful of this champion, and I'm very just optimistic to see how she fares in the future of the contest. So that is Scream landing in the S tier. Now let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Jack-o'-lantern. But before we do that, I'm sure you guys have noticed this right here on the screen. What does that mean? Well, if this video, this tier list video for November, can hit 2,000 likes, we're going to go ahead and release the Battlegrounds Brain Rot tier list. So it's a Battlegrounds tier list of my own creation, I'm going to be getting some assistance from Andrew the Rough and Liam, 2 of the best Battleground players that I know, and they both definitely suffer from Battlegrounds brain rot, but they don't have the same case of it, like, because I know how they think. They both think differently. They both like different champions. So I think it would be really great to get their perspective on it, get their input on it. I think it could be a really great tier list. So if you guys want to see that, 2,000 likes on this video and we'll make it happen. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Jack-o'-lantern now. So at first, when I saw these champions, you know, and we saw like a little bit of their abilities and, you know, what they're going to be able to do, and the initial deep dives and everything, I was definitely way more excited about Jack-o'-lantern. You know, like I said, I was worried about Scream's actual abilities until I played her. Then I was like, oh, okay, this is good. But with Jack, you know, I was really excited to try him. I was thinking, like, he's going to be insane. Like, he's going to be really good. And, you know, the great thing about Jack is that he is an incredible onslaught counter. So what makes him such a good onslaught counter? You know, well, first of all, he can parry onslaught. So he can parry stun him. Unfortunately, though, you know, you're still going to get the daunted. So parrying, you don't necessarily maybe want to do it. Maybe not in every onslaught fight, at least. There's going to be times where you don't want to parry. So that's, I would say, like, the really only downside that he has when facing onslaught. He has reverse control immunity, so he can push onslaught to the special 2 and, you know, evade it just normally. And also block it. I would say, oh yeah, one other thing that he could use to make him a much better onslaught counter is if he had crush immunity, or if he lowered crush ability accuracy by 100% against mutants, or something like that. You know, if he had that in his kit, then I think he would be pretty much like the perfect onslaught counter. But without that, it's definitely not like, it's not as easy as I would say, you know, Mr. Sinister versus Bullseye. If you're at all familiar with that matchup, you know, it feels like a very hard counter that it's hard to kind of mess it up. With Jack-O-Lantern versus Onslaught, oh, it's easy to mess it up. It's not hard to screw that fight up. You know, it's not nearly as a free given matchup. You still got to work for it a bit, but it is definitely, you know, an optimal matchup for Jack. What else makes him really good against Onslaught is he gains some energy resistance, which is really nice as you build him up with the Inflame. So that's going to help with, you know, any neuroshocks that you may have on you from Onslaught. Yeah, so he also applies Cowardice, which, you know, you can, and it's supposed to here. It says, while suffering from a Cowardice effect, mutant opponents are 35% less likely to activate their special one. Now, like, in my very short and limited testing, this didn't even really seem to work that well. I was still having opponents throw their special one when I was trying to prevent them from throwing it. You know, they're still just throwing it, Onslaughts included. So I don't really like this or think it's all that reliable, but you know, it's something. But yeah, I would say my favorite thing about Jack is that on this special 2, you know, he applies Incinerate. It says right here, and Poison. But against mutants specifically, any of his Incinerate effects, which also trigger anytime he would crit, you know, he's like Prowler, like Guardian. He's very similar to those champions, but he's different at the same time. So, you know, Guardian, he doesn't crit, and instead he applies shock damage. Prowler, he doesn't crit, instead, you know, he applies physical damage. Pumpkin guy, Jack, when he doesn't crit, he applies Incinerate damage. So, you know, it's pretty similar to Prowler and Guardian, but the massive 1-up that he has on Prowler and Guardian is that against mutant champions specifically, with that class advantage, instead of Incinerates, it's Plasma, which is just, that's like the cherry on top of his whole kit for me. Like, that is just, I love that. I love that so much. I think that's absolutely what Nimrod should have to be like an insane, you know, mutant slayer. If Sentinel gets reworked, I have a feeling they're going to give him something like that. You know, Sentinel right now, his special 2 is Incinerate against mutants. Watch it be Plasma if he gets buffed. I'm calling it right now. But anyways, I love that. I love that ability. It's so good. No champ in the game, you know, is immune to Plasma, to my knowledge, anyways. So yeah, it's fantastic. It's great against Onslaught. You know, you don't have to worry about him going crazy because you apply Incinerate on him. It's just Plasma. And yeah, Jack feels solid. It's a very short window for, you know, his damage over time effects. Like, let's see, does it say how long it is in the special 2? It says, yeah, for 3 seconds. So it's so short, but it's so much potent damage in those 3 seconds. And so, you know, so there's a very good relic that benefits Jack here. So, you know, as you can see here, he applies these damage over time effects for 3 seconds. There is a relic that, you know, increases damage over time effects, and that's Green Goblin here. So this one is gain ability, yeah, so gain 7% debuff ability accuracy and duration. So 7% more duration. That's really big. So you definitely want to be running this relic on Jack-O-Lantern. You can also increase the damaging debuff potency here by 2.4%. So it's already extremely potent, but you can make it even more potent. And here it just says damaging debuff potency. So that's very non-specific, which is exactly what you want. So that'll be Incinerate, Plasma, Poison. It should be benefiting all of those damage types. And then, yeah, you can also increase his regeneration rate, which, let's talk about Jack-O-Lantern's Awakened ability, because as you'll notice on the tier list, he doesn't have the flexing icon. So he doesn't need to be awakened, right? It's definitely nice to have, and the higher the sig, the better. He has a very weird clause in his Awakened ability here that the second bullet point, while suffering from any energy damaging passives, Jack-o'-lantern passively regenerates X percentage based on sig, based off base health per half second. So, like I said, I haven't had enough testing. I think he probably does want this. You know, I think we'll give him the wants high sig, because it seems like that is really good. I tried to test this versus Domino, and it seems like it wasn't working for me. Maybe she had like turned it off. I'm not entirely sure. But I think this is supposed to help him fight Dominoes in those types of matchups where he's taking, you know, that passive energy-based damage, and be able to heal back some of it. Plus, you know, he builds up the energy resistance as you build him up with his inflame stuff. But then, you know, the first part of the bullet point is nice as well. During the opponent's special attacking and non-attacking bulwark buff, granting, again, a certain amount of potency based on your sig. At sig 1493, at sig 200, almost 1500 block proficiency. This is nice. You know, when you're fighting Onslaught, if you are high sig or max sig, you can just block his specials. You know, if you're not crushed, you can just block them, and it's not bad. So yeah, that ability is nice. You know, we will give him the wants high sig icon. So yeah, that's Jack. So I think Jack is great. But for me, you know, and just by the way, I've seen only a few of these comments, but I just want everyone to know that everyone in this tier, you know, is equal. Unless I say otherwise, or unless there's a symbol, you know, specifying the champions above the rest. It doesn't matter if you're in the bottom or the top. All these champions just are on equal footing, you know, standing on the same step. I feel like Jack, you know, just barely made it into this S tier for me. Whereas Scream, you know, I feel like she landed here pretty solidly, and I feel like there is potential for her to go higher. For Jack-o'-lantern, I don't think there's any potential for him to be going higher right now. I could be wrong. You know, there could be a bunch of champions that come out that he's really good at fighting against, and you know, maybe he becomes super meta, and so you know, that could happen. You never know. But the way I see him right now, after my very limited testing, I feel like this is his peak right now in the S tier. I don't really see too much potential to go higher. I could see some people saying he's A tier. It was between these two tiers, but I think ultimately he ends up here. He is a great onslaught counter. He's going to be great, you know, in some other matchups. Good damage sources. The plasma against mutants I really like. So yeah, I think he lands in the S tier pretty solidly, but not as solid as Scream. But yeah, they're both landing in the S tier. So now let's go ahead and rank the 3 newly buffed champions for the Grand Banquet this year. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and start with T'Challa, Black Panther Civil War. This is mine in game right now. Rank 1, level 25, sig 140, all natural. And now he's been buffed. So I have Black Panther, you know, I haven't moved any of these 3 champions, Black Panther, Medusa, Purgatory. We're going to do it together. So Black Panther Civil War is currently in the C tier at the moment. So I think I'm going to just shorten this as well. Let's go Black Panther CW. So we have some room for some emojis. So let's check out his awakened ability together here. So we got Black Panther starts each fight with 15 reflect charges. An upgraded reflective matrix grants physical resistance. While Black Panther has at least 10 reflect charges, he gains 84% chance to absorb heavy attack impacts. Interesting. So starting with the reflect charges, that definitely seems good. So I would say he definitely wants to be awakened for sure. So let's go ahead and give him that icon. Wants to be, the more SIGs, the better. Definitely seems like high defensive prowess. Yeah, he's definitely, he was a defender before, and apparently he's an even more punishing defender now. So we'll give him that. I don't think he requires too much skill to play from what I've seen. Yeah, I think that's good. So we'll put those emojis on him. And now he's definitely getting upgraded. The question is how far? How many tiers is he jumping? So I think he clears B tier pretty easily. The question is A, or does he go higher than A? Or even make it into A? I think he definitely makes it into A for sure. Yeah, I think he definitely makes it into A. Feeling good about that. I've seen his damage now. It looks pretty solid. He can do some nice bursts of, you know, kinetic damage. You can chain it. He actually reminds me, you know who he reminds me of? My boy, Spot. Because, you know, you can chain your heavy with the damage then into your specials, and that damage, carries over on each special hit. Spot is a little bit different, but he carries his damage onto each special hit for some big bursts. Definitely reminds me of that. But Black Panther, also is applying bleed debuffs, and then you get some. So if they don't die to your bursts, and they still have some health left, if you got those bleeds ticking, they'll probably finish the last 10 to 20%. So in a way, I feel like his peak, I don't know what his peak damage potential is yet, but I feel like it's lower than Spot's for burst damage. So I feel like Spot can get higher bursts, but Spot can't get the extra damage at the end, like the damage over time with those bleeds. So that's really nice. Like I'll have fights all the time where my opponent's almost dead from Spot special 2. They have like 5 to 10% health left, and then it just takes like another combo or two, which is fine. You're untouchable, so it's not a big deal. But it would be nice to just have bleeds ticking down that rest of their health. So I like Black Panther's playstyle. It seems movie accurate to the suit. The only thing, I heard someone talk, I don't know who it was, but they had mentioned like if he had like a cool like purple aura he burst when like the damage was being reflected or something like that, kind of like how it looked in the movies, which would be insane. I feel like I want to just watch the Black Panther movie again now. Now that this guy's been buffed, I'm really excited to get him as a 7-star. I feel like the skill class is the weakest, especially for 7 stars. So the fact that we're gonna get Black Panther Civil War as a 7-star skill champ, that's great. I think he is immediately gonna be like one of the better skill champions, better options to take to rank 3. I think he's all around, pretty solid champion. He's got some nice cleanse on the special 1. And, just the biggest thing for me is he's still going to be a great, reliable defender. And if they make, and a very punishing one, if they make any type of mistake, if they get clipped by special, like they're going to lose so much health. So, yeah, Black Panther Civil War, I think A tier. I think there's definitely room for him to go higher. For sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna chill at A tier for now. Let me know what you guys think. Really want some comments on Black Panther. He just got buffed, so I think A tier for now. All right, let's go to Medusa or Purgatory next. All right, Mystic. Let's do Purgatory. So Purgatory is currently sitting in the F tier. So I think for Mystic, like Purgatory might be my favorite pick. And for skill, personally, they had confirmed Black Panther's buff like about 2 or 3 years ago. Like they had said, Kabam had promised this buff has been in the works. So, we already had that buff promised. I didn't exactly want a promised buff to be within the 6, buffs for this. I was hoping, I wasn't even thinking about Black Panther because that was a promised buff. He wasn't even in my mind for predictions because I just, in my mind, he's separate. He's in a separate category of this champion's guaranteed getting a buff, but it's not right now. So I wasn't even thinking about him. Personally, I would have loved to see like a Moon Knight buff. I think Moon Knight or OG Daredevil would probably be my number 1 and number 2 picks for a buff in the skill class. But I'm glad T'Challa finally got some more respect on his name, and I'm excited if I get him as a 7-star to try him out, and I might even rank 3 him, depending how good he is on defense. But for Mystic, I would say other than like, actually there's a few. I would say Dormammu, Ghost Rider, Iron Fist, and Mephisto. I want to see a sick buff for all those champs. But Purgatory is definitely a good one. A very good one. Because I always thought Purgatory was actually one of the cooler Kabam originals. But she just sucked so much. That was the problem. She was just so bad. But, now that she's been buffed, I don't think I've actually played buffed Purgatory. Maybe I'll have to do a testing stream for Purgatory and Medusa. Or maybe I'll just wait for when I get her, maybe as a 7-star. But I've seen some gameplay. I've seen that she's a serpent counter now, which seems really awesome, so that's good. Let's read her sig ability. So if the opponent is knocked out while demonic rampage is active, their soul is instantly captured, and then duration of class soul abilities are increased by 35%. Class soul abilities. Okay, yeah, that seems very powerful. Because you just get that when you're fighting a Mystic champion. Okay, yeah, Sig definitely seems like not a requirement, but it definitely seems like she wants to be high Sig for that. So we will put that icon onto Purgatory. Oh yeah, I was also should be putting this on all of them as well, because they've all been buffed. Black Panther, you need this one too. There we go. Okay, so got those two on Purgatory. Let's see. Does she have some defensive prowess? I fight her in AQ on a power gain path, and it's never really been an issue. It's not really an issue. She's a little bit more annoying now because she's applying like more neutralize against my red skull, but it's still a pretty simple, easy fight. So I don't think she's really a defender. I don't know if she really needs skill to play. I think she is bleed immune, isn't she? Or no, she's not. She's immune to incinerate, so yeah, probably not the most recoil friendly. Powerful relic though, yeah. Most mystics have a really good relic. I'm guessing Purgatories would probably be... She applies degen, right? So maybe the Ghost Rider relic, maybe the Scarlet Witch relic. Yeah, I've heard she's like really good in questing now. So, Serpent counter, good in questing. I think easily B tier. The question is, does she make A tier? That's a 2-tier jump already. Yeah, she definitely seems better than these champions that I have here, from what I've seen. Yeah, I think another A tier. Definitely, yeah. Well, let's actually make some room for her towards the top. Again, not that it matters, but all these champs are on the same footing. Just want to put her more towards the top because she's been buffed, so she should be more towards the top. Just because people want to see it. Okay, so yeah, I think Purgatory A tier. Is there now room for S tier jump? Let's see. I think it's too soon for that. I definitely don't know enough to promote her any further. So I think A tier is where she is going to be stopping. I would say out of all 3 champions that have been buffed so far, if I had to, you know, pick one, if we had like a selector, I think I'd be picking Purgatory. Again, and I need more information. I need to do some hands-on testing on all 3 of these champs. But right now, if I had to make that decision, I would pick Purgatory as a new 7-star out of those 3. Yeah, I think I would. So yeah, she's going to be landing in the A tier. All right, one more to talk about, and that is Medusa. So Medusa, I would say was easily already, you know, the best out of the 3 before the buffs. Medusa was in a tier higher than all of them as well. Medusa currently in the B tier. Let's go ahead and put the reworked icon on her. And yeah, so let's see. I think Medusa is definitely a better defender now, but oh yeah, she didn't even have the shield before. Okay, well, let's definitely add the shield to her. She definitely deserves that now. So let's see the awaken ability now. So when struck within 0.5 seconds, oh, it's just twice within 0.5 seconds. While at least 3 personal fury buffs are active, Medusa has a 50% chance to. Okay, and at max sig, does it go to a 100% chance? I'm guessing. Okay. That consumes 3 furies. Medusa inflicts armor shatter or gains a fervor buff and true accuracy buff for 35 seconds. Okay, I think she definitely wants to be awakened. For sure. For sure. Just to get that second part, to get the true accuracy. That sounds really nice. And just Sig 1, you're going to have that. Sig 200 doesn't make a difference for that. The only thing more Sigs is going to do is increase your chance to auto block. So that just increases her defensive utility. Okay. So yeah, definitely wants to be awakened. She already had that icon. Suicide friendly. Yeah, powerful relic. Which relic would be best for her? Would it be... I'm not entirely sure. Oh, probably the Gamora one. Because I think that increases Furies. Yeah, you get cruelty buff duration. Fury and Cruelty buff duration, and Fury potency. So yeah, I think Gamora is probably the best relic for Medusa. I'm sure all of them benefit her in some way. This one I love on Hulkling because it increases his Fury duration and potency. So if you're looking to just increase your damage, you know, by increasing the Fury, Gamora is a good relic to go with. So yeah, I think. Is Medusa an S tier now? I think definitely, without a doubt, she gets at least a tier promotion for sure. She was already pretty good, and now she's even better. So at least A tier. Does she go further though? All of them are an A tier now, and I feel similar in all of them, that I don't have enough hands-on practice, knowledge, and experience yet to make the capable decision to promote them any further. So I'm really gonna need, this is where I love that I don't, it's not just me making this tier list, no, it's us. You guys have such a big impact on it. I really need you guys' help for these 3 champions, for Black Panther Civil War, Medusa, and for Purgatory. Please leave any feedback on those 3 champions specifically in the comments and where you think they should be. Do you think A tier is enough? Do you think they should go further? Do you think any of them should be in B tier? Do you think any of them are S tier plus? Let me know. Let me know. That is all 5 of our, you know, brand new additions to the list with new champs and buff champs. Now we got just the regular standard promotions left on the list. Let's go ahead and get to those now. Alright guys, let's start at the top and go down to the bottom. So starting with the science class, we only have one change here, and it is Spider-Punk. So Spider-Punk did get rebalanced. Their goal with rebalancing was to make his special 2 and special 1 loop a bit more rewarding. I played around with my rank 3 Spider-Punk on Leg Spiker, and it definitely feels much better. I definitely noticed a difference right away. Just felt like more damage immediately. Definitely feels nicer. He was already pretty solid before. He was also, you know, I think we should give him a bit of a defensive threat icon, because he's been a defender in all kinds of different metas in war, and for this last season, Crit Me with Your Best Shot, he was a bit of a trap defender there. Definitely had a lot of success with him on Leg Spiker. So yeah, I think he is warranted of the shield icon. So yeah, I think Spider-Punk absolutely deserves this A tier, and I think there is honestly room for Spider-Punk to go further. I think right now this is the perfect spot for him. Gotta really see just how good his rebalancing changes were. I think he definitely has potential, but for now I think A tier is the perfect money spot for him. I've seen some comments about, you know, Silk should be promoted, and even one that said Silk and Spot should be promoted, but I genuinely do not think so. I grade the science tier harder than any other class on this tier list, because I think science is the best class in the game, and I think all 6 of these champions deserve to be in this tier list, in this tier of the tier list, and I don't think any of these have quite enough to make it. Genuinely, I think these champions are all just a bit of a step above everyone here. They can just do more all around. And I think Count Nefaria, I saw a lot of comments about you guys. I don't think a single comment disagreed with him being here. The only real thing was someone said that, you know, I didn't mention the unfazed mastery. And, you know, personally, here's the deal, in my opinion. If you're gonna rank up Count Nefaria to the highest rank, like rank 3, you just gotta suck it up and forget about unfazed. Just suck it up, forget about it. If it happens, then that's when you deal with it. But until it happens, don't worry about it. That's my approach anyways. And I've had it trigger a handful of times against me. I can only recall like really one ever time where it actually like affected the outcome of a match. As one ever time. And I've used him a lot in Alliance War, in Battlegrounds. You know, it's RNG if it's even going to trigger in the first place, whether they have 1 or 5 points in it. It couldn't happen at all. It could happen multiple times in a fight. It's RNG. And yeah, so if you're going to rank them up, just honestly, don't worry about it until you're faced with it. Once you're faced with it in a fight, then deal with it, then care about it. But until that happens, and I wouldn't bother stressing about it. It's all chance, it's all RNG. That's my take on it. And for my personal experience, it really hasn't lessened my Count of Faria experience that much. A little bit for sure, but not enough to really change my opinion on the champ at all. I still think he is insanely powerful. One of the best champions released this year. I think the best offensively released champion this year, for sure. He's just so good. He can do so much. It's honestly insane to me that he exists, but I mean, it makes sense because Kabam sold an entire event around him and probably made just so much money, and that justifies him being balanced the way he is. But I guess we'll see when his rebalancing comes. Personally, I don't think he's going to change at all, but we'll see. But that's science class. Let's go ahead and move on to Cosmic. So we had some promotions. So I had a couple comments talking about Odin. And a couple comments saying, where's Cull Obsidian? Bro, Cull Obsidian has been on the list the whole time. He's right here in B tier. But yes, Odin has been promoted to the A tier, and also Ronin as well, dude. Ronin is great. If the opponents have, if your opponent is going to be getting more than 3 buffs at all times of the fight, and there's room for even more than 3, like Ronin, and they can be stunned, like Ronin's your guy. Bring him. He's going to do such a good job. I was doing the event quest last night, just rushing through it, and in one of the quests, every time the opponent, hit your block, they'd gain an armor up buff. I'll just start each fight, take about 7-8 hits in my block, and then just stun lock with Ronin. Did that for like the whole quest. It was so fast, like 30-second fights. Like, Ronin is freaking awesome, dude. He really is. You just gotta take him to the right matchups, and he excels. So yeah, Superior Iron Man. I think everyone pretty much agreed with him landing in the S tier, which was great to see. No comments really trying to dispute that, which is awesome. And yeah, I think the Cosmic class is looking really, really solid. I saw one comment that said Adam and Hyperion being in the same tier as Null, and I think there's no problem with that at all. I think all these champions deserve to be in this tier. Whoops. What did I do? Here we go. Yeah, I think all these champions deserve to be in this tier, and I don't think any one of them quite cuts it and is on the same level as these 4 Cosmic champs. These 4 Cosmic champs are just insane. Like, to me, the next closest would probably be Maestro here, because he's so good on defense. But yeah, I don't think it's quite enough. Maybe once we can dupe 7-star Maestro, then he can get this spot. But for now, I think the Cosmic class is looking pretty solid. So let's go ahead and move on to Mystic. So Mystic, I don't think we had... Oh yeah, we had one change. There was a lot of passion, let's call it, for Dr. Doom. So many comments saying, why is Dr. Doom not in the highest tier? Dr. Doom this, Dr. Doom that, Dr. Doom this. The thing is, like, Dr. Doom never moved. What happened was, like, 2 tier lists ago, this new tier was just created, and so very few select handful of champs were promoted. Doom was in the highest tier before the change, and nothing changed. He didn't move. He didn't go up. He didn't go down. He just stayed in the tier he was in. And I saw no problem with where Doom was. But a lot of passion wanted this Doom promotion, so here it is. Doom is definitely an absolute monster. I would say, my main reservation for not promoting him, I would say, is that he's not really the most meta relevant at the very top end of Battlegrounds. That's what I would say. And you might be thinking, like, well, Legacy, this isn't a Battlegrounds tier list. You just said at 2,000 likes you're going to make a specific Battlegrounds tier list. And yes, of course. However, for the very highest tier, the Beyonder tier, the highest prestige a champion can get on this tier list, I would hope that those champions would be good in the highest tier of Battlegrounds, personally. And, Battlegrounds being the important of a mode as it is, I feel like that holds some salt. Kushala, Juggernaut, Chavez, all incredible Battlegrounds champs. Onslaught, Mr. Sinister, Domino, Archangel, all incredible Battlegrounds champs at the top end. Churi, Future Ant-Man, Red Skull, Stark Spidey, Prowler, all these champions are in top tier decks used in multiple metas. Nick Fury, Kate Bishop, Bullseye, same thing. All those champions I see in the highest of decks and in metas where they're going to be useful. I never see Dr. Doom in the high tier decks in any meta. So that's why I wasn't promoting him. but like I said, a lot of passion for it. So here's the promotion. I'm a man of the people. That's the Mystic class. Let's go ahead and move on. Also saw a couple comments saying Quake and Magic weren't on the list. Magic is right here in the Beyonder tier. She's just 5-star locked. And Quake is right here also in the Beyonder tier, just 5-star locked. Moving on, we have the Mutant class. We had 2 promotions here. One for Professor X from the B tier into the A tier. Seeing Professor X getting a lot of play this this Alliance War tactic season. He's been used to fight some very tricky Enchantress matchups all over the map, so I think that alone warrants that. We had an OG Storm promotion from the A tier to the S tier. So OG Storm, man, has kind of taken me by storm. I don't have her. That's when you don't have a champion as a 7-star, it's hard to know exactly how good they are. And I don't have Storm, but I've had her used against me a fair few times, especially in Battlegrounds, especially Bureau Man. Bureau Man has just done some truly nasty, disgusting things with OG Storm in Battlegrounds against, the top tier defenders. And it's crazy the amount of damage Storm can churn out, man. Also, Storm has been very relevant in some of the boss encounters, for Glycon with like power back boosts. I'm pretty sure she held the record for like the fastest kill on him. I think you could do it in like a minute or something. I think she's also crazy for like the Orochi boss. Like, she just does so much damage. Damage is power. So yeah, Storm in the S tier. Those are all the promotions in the Mutant class. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Tech. Alright guys, so let's get into this Tech class. We have 3 champs to talk about. So, starting at the bottom, we have Doc Ock. He was originally in the C tier. He's been upgraded to the B tier. If you guys remember from my Alliance War last season, I fought that Mangog mini-boss with Red Skull. Didn't go the greatest. Doc Ock's actually an incredible option for that because Doc Ock is so good at controlling power, especially power that is just absurdly out of hand, which is the exact MO of that Mangog. So yeah, Dr. Octopus has been getting a ton of play in Alliance War at the very top end recently. So yeah, he's definitely shouldn't be in the C tier. B tier is much better. And then we have Ironheart. So there was a really passionate comment left on the last tier list about Ironheart. Shout out to the guy that left that. Great comments. Really helped to convince me of this. And also, big shout out to Lizer. She showed me an Ironheart versus a rank 3 Enchantress Alliance War boss. You guys, like, rank 3 Enchantress War boss at the top end, man. It's crazy what that chick can do, what her AI can do. And Lizer showed me a fight of Ironheart fighting her. And this was the wildest Enchantress AI I've ever seen. Lizer was like holding block. She just kept throwing specials. At one point in the fight, Lizer was holding block. Enchantress throws her special 2. Lizer blocks the whole thing, continues to hold block after throwing a special 2. Then Enchantress decides to throw a special 1. Like right after. All while Lizer was continuously holding block. Like but even with this absurdly cracked, weird AI, Ironheart still pulled out the dub. Like, no problem. It was very, very, very impressive. Very impressive. Ironheart, man. Yeah, I think she's heavily underrated. Maybe one of the most underrated champs that have come out all year. So, yeah, she's getting that S tier promotion. And then we have one final promotion in the Tech class, and that is Prowler. From the S tier to the S tier plus, the Beyonder tier, the highest tier, Prowler. So I just took Prowler up to rank 3. He was my latest and greatest rank 3 champion, and I'm really liking him. I think Prowler is fantastic. He has really, really solid power control. There was this synergy that was added to MCOC, a very long time ago via Captain America Infinity War, and it was a really cool one. We had never seen anything like this before, so all Tech champions can have access to it, if you have Captain America on the team with either Vision or Iron Man. How it works is Tech champions drain 100% of the opponent's max power after the opponent uses special attack. So Prowler just has this synergy built into his kit at all times. So it's really great. It's just really great for crazy power gain opponents, which will always be a thing. This current season of Battlegrounds is going to be a crazy power gaining season with the Spite node. So, you know, Prowler's going to be great for that. Just to have that synergy, you know, built into your kit. Plus, it's not only built into his kit, it's also improved upon because it also power locks them briefly for like 1.5 seconds after they throw a special attack. Let me see, where's that part exactly in his kit here? So, let's say when the opponent throws a special attack. Yeah, after the opponent acts special attack, power drain the remaining power and inflict a power lock lasting. Wow, it was actually right in the duration, 1.5 seconds. So yeah, they're just power locked for 1.5 seconds after they throw a special, which is great because then you can go ahead and, you know, throw your heavy attack with Prowler, which applies to Incinerate, which, you know, is important to his loop to get the damage. Speaking of damage, dude, Prowler can dish out a ton of damage, and you'll notice, you know, that the only emote here that he has is the higher the sig, the better. Because just the more sigs you put on Prowler, the more you increase his crit rate during special attacks. So, yeah, while the opponent is faltered, Prowler gains, or I guess not even special attacks, just while they're faltered. But, you know, the way that you play Prowler is you want to be applying the falter before you use your special attack too, because that's going to greatly, well, because they sig right there, you're going to get more critical rating. You want to crit on the special too. It's going to just do more and more damage. So yeah, the higher the sig, the better, because it increases your crit rate. Now, Prowler cannot crit, right? But when he would crit, you know, instead he applies that instant rupture damage, which, you know, is really nice. Which, yeah, so it says right there, when Prowler would land a critical hit, he instead inflicts a rupture passive, dealing the critical damage the hit would have dealt as physical damage over 1 second. So you want to increase Prowler's crit rate as much as you can to, you know, get those ruptures. So, you know, obviously I'm running the crit rate stat focus. I'm trying to get his sig up as much as I can. Mine's only sig 41 right now, but, you know, eventually he will be sig 200. But just taking Prowler up to rank 3, you know, really helps. You know, like if you have a rank 2 sig 200 Prowler versus a rank 3 sig 40 Prowler, I would wager the rank 3 would be faster, or they might even be close. I'm not entirely sure. I would still go with the rank 3, but yeah. So sig is important though, because if that's even a question of, you know, higher rank versus max sig, that's how you know the sig is very important. So yeah, man, Prowler is awesome. He's got damage, he's got utility, he's got great power control, some of the best in the game. It's unique as well. You know, you need a synergy to perform the type of power control that he has. So just to be able to do that on its own, it's great. He's got you know, immunity to Incinerate and Bleed just built into his kit. He has a pretty good evade counter as well with his special one. You can get a pursuit passive, which allows you to counter evade, which is fantastic. Yeah, and the damage, you know, the way that you build up your damage, the way that you ramp Prowler is by baiting out special attacks. So he's really easy to ramp. You know, all the key is just to try to get the opponent right under a bar of power and then throw it, because you gain charges based on the amount of power that, you know, is drained after they throw a special. So you want to get that as high as you can, and then it just gives you charges. Then when you throw a special attack, those charges are converted into Fury passives. So, you know, it's a very simple, very effective playstyle. I love Prowler. I was a little bit on the fence if I was biased or if he really does deserve this. I asked you guys in the last stream. A lot of you guys were saying, yeah, Prowler absolutely deserves it. So yeah, I'm interested to hear if there's any pushback on this promotion. Does anyone think Prowler doesn't deserve this? I'd love to hear why. But yeah, that's Prowler landing in the Beyonder S tier plus. So we have one final class to talk about and 2 promotions here. So the first promotion is a Moon Dragon. She's getting increased from the B tier to the A tier. I think Moon Dragon is annoying on defense, so I also gave her the you know, shield emoji. Definitely takes a little bit of skills to play. Definitely, I think on the underrated side, I think Moony D, she can do some stuff. And then Chilth. You know, there was a comment that got a lot of likes that said Chilth deserved to be at least an S tier plus, and I was like, bruh, she was an A tier before. There's no chance Chilth is on the same level as the champions in my mind. There's just no, not even close. But S tier, I can see it. She can just barely make it into this tier. Yeah, I think she can make it. She does have a lot in her kit, quite a lot going on. I would say Chilth doesn't do, like, the way I see Chilth is like she's got a lot going on and she can do a lot of different things. But typically there's another champion that can do everything that she can better, but she can just do a lot of different things, just not as good as other champions. You know, that's the way I look at Chilth. You know, if I want a skill champion to reliably, you know, be shrugging a lot of debuffs, you know, I'll probably go with like Kingpin. My first thought wouldn't be Chilth. If I wanted a champion with, you know, a lot of bleed damage, I would think of, you know, probably like Nick Fury. Chilth wouldn't be the initial champion I think of. She can be a defender. I definitely don't think she's a good defender. She's like an all right one in a bad situation. Yeah, she's all around a pretty good champ. I feel like she's a jack of a lot of trades, but master of none of them. That's kind of how I see Chilth. Which you know is not a bad thing. It's good to have a lot of stuff that you can cover. So yeah, Chilth landing in the S tier. Let me again, very curious if there's any pushback on this, because there was a long thread of comments of a lot of people talking back and forth about Chilth, whether she deserves a promotion or not. So very curious to see any more feedback on that. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for this tier list. So one final time, if you guys want to see a full Battlegrounds brain rot tier list with, you know, hopefully the help of Andrew the Rough and Liam. They already said they'd be down to help out, but that was a little while ago, but I'm sure I could convince them. Great friends of mine, some of the, again, like I said, the best Battlegrounds players in the world. They definitely both suffer from Battlegrounds brain rot. They'd be just excellent advisors to have for the tier list. So yes, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this one. I really hope you guys enjoyed the November edition of the tier list. I absolutely love making these, and Ace has been chilling for quite a while here. He's such a good boy. Hey, buddy. Yeah, we're done, buddy. We're all done with the video. Now we can go play. Yeah. Alright, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it from me and Ace. Hope you all have a great, wonderful day wherever you are. Sorry this tier list took about like the first week of November to get out. I wanted to get it out sooner. Just been busy, had a lot going on. But yeah, got it out now. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. Hope you all have a great, wonderful day. Peace.